Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ, and welcome to the only place on the interwebs where we talk science fiction tabletop role playing games, hosted by yours truly, DBJ. And of course, all of you that are able to take part on this show live, 6 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, are our co hosts on the show. And I thought today, and I'm surprised I don't believe we've talked about this on the show. We talk about all kinds of sci-fi concepts, especially for tabletop role-playing games, but I thought we would talk about the concept of androids. And so that we are on the same page, uh, specifically, we're talking about near human artificial life. So, not just clones or robots or AI, but literally beings that have four limbs. They look human, they speak and seem to act human. And there's plenty of examples of this in science fiction media. Also, it's very easy to do so. You have a human actor or actress or whatever portraying these characters. Throw some makeup on them if you need to, or some special effects, and we have our interactions. But also, there is an intrinsic fear in humanity to have something that looks and sounds and appears human, but isn't. And so the question for us today is we're going to talk about what is or isn't human and use. We can't go through all of the examples in science fiction media, but I picked a few out. I picked Ex Machina, the film, award-winning film, an excellent movie. There's Westworld, the television series. There's and there are two other series. One's called Humans, and you'll note it because the A is like upside down in the logo. And then there's also Human, a very short-lived television show, one season, and and uh, it the concept and how those concepts are used are what we're going to make an homage to these series and movie, single movie here in for our examples, and we're going to make an homage to these for our tabletop gaming experiences. Mind you, of course, one of the legendary ones is Blade Runner, which technically deserves its own episode, and there's also an excellent follow-up to the Blade Runner movie, but that deserves its own thing. So I'm holding Blade Runner off to the side, although the idea of having agents hunt down artificial humans in and of itself is a great concept. A great high concept for our tabletop experiences. Shitlord says androids are F-bots designed to put an end to human reproduction by effing better than any real man can. Yes. Well, you know what? Despite the sarcasm, and I know you're being sarcastic, we all know that comedy has elements of reality. And to be honest with you, the the propensity to have humanoid looking bots has well technology itself has often been fueled by two things. Come on, you guys know the two things that fuel a technological advancement, and that is war, conflict and war, and sex. And we know, especially with media from streaming to DVDs and videotapes and things like that, most of the technological advancements in media have actually happened in like the porn industry. So yeah, yep. Yeah, yep, shitlords. Yeah, shitlord says dude, that's for real. It was already in Black Mirror. Yep. Yeah, androids are an interesting subject for political discourse. I know that and when I say I know, there are various laws that have already been um enacted and are currently being enacted to have control over AI systems that mimic I guess a version that I'm going to call them are emulators. Chat GPT and these other things that we're calling AI are actually just emulators. They emulate a behavior or a system of information to come across as being sentient, but it really isn't. It's just a very uh, an advanced search and refinement engine. But eventually we I think we'll get there. The problem is whether we'll realize we get there, whether the machines know it first before we do. But yeah. Yeah, Shai says, yeah, Andrew Yang already warned us about this in 2016. Yeah, absolutely. So let's discuss. I picked four because I thought they would be different enough, but there's plenty of examples of this. So let's talk about the movie Ex Machina. Uh, Drew says this is why I like Slay Industries, aka the world of progress, which indeed has the progress based on warfare in the orange industry. Yeah, the yep, yeah, the two things that really push technology and its advancement and honestly the acceptance in society is pretty strange. But yeah, those industries. I don't know if you yeah, war is an industry. Those two things really emulate that. We have to do a review of Slay Industries. I don't have the reprint. Uh, but I have the original book. Mine is kind of dog-eared and such. But yeah, I gotta bring that book out. Please remind me to do that. Please let me do that. I may do a non-face one and just have the book in front of me with the lights on it and do like a page through because it's a pretty interesting tabletop role-playing game. My binding is kind of split on it. Okay, Ex Machina. For those who don't know, spoiler alert. Oh man, I wish I had a spoiler alert tag. So huge spoiler alert for a movie that's how old is this movie? 2014. Okay, 10 years old. If you don't know the ending of this movie, which the movie has a bit of a questionable ending as well, then don't worry about it. So there are four characters. This is a bottle movie. A uh, a bottle story is one that takes place basically in one location. Sometimes they take place in a room or a jail cell or a closet or something like that. And this very much is a bottle movie. Yes, they do show us other elements of the rest of the world, but essentially it takes place in one location. And we have ourselves uh, a I'll just read it out because I was going to summarize it, but because I kind of wanted to get to the plot. Yes. Okay, here we go. In Ex Machina, Caleb, a programmer of the search engine company Blue Book, which is funny, wins an office contest to a 1 week visit to luxurious, isolated home of the CEO, Nathan Bateman. And Caleb, who wins this lottery at his job, goes to Bateman, and Bateman is a stand-in for a rich, brilliant industrialist programmer who claims to have created AI. And not only has he created AI, Nathan reveals that he has built a humanoid robot named Ava with artificial intelligence, and he wants to test out this robot. And or an emulator of human behavior and thought. Ava has already passed a simple Turing test, and Nathan wants Caleb to judge whether Ava is genuinely capable of thought and consciousness. And throughout the movie, our innocent individual Caleb, we look through his eyes, and of course, we're getting strange vibes from Nathan. And there's another robot. Does she have a name? Oh, Kyoko. Um, Caleb grows uncomfortable with Nathan's narcissism and excessive drinking and crude behavior toward Kyoko and Ava. He learns that Nathan intends to upgrade Ava after Caleb's test, wiping her memory circuits and, in effect, killing her current personality in the process. And so Caleb proceeds to try to save Ava's life. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Yeah. Drew. Yeah. Bateman is basically Elon Musk, and a mix of some others too, right? Some other um, singular CEOs of tech companies. Yeah, he's like an Elon Musk person, and very strange and bizarre. And there's a there's a line in the very beginning of the movie that emulates his personality because Caleb says something like, "Wow, the person who creates AI is like." Um, it is the act of creating life. It is like one would consider being like a god. And then he says, Nathan, the Elon Musk character, says to himself, "Oh, you're calling me a god? Yeah, that's really good." And Caleb is like, "I didn't call you. I'm saying, like, wait a minute, doesn't that make us gods?" And but he was like, "Oh, I guess I am a god. Wow." She looks like humanity will not make it till the 24th century. The F bots will replace us all within 100 years. Uh, I wonder, I wonder if they would replace us and continue with their programmed behaviors, which would be very strange to have a bunch of robots engaging in carnal activities. Yes, if your mind is just data on a cortical stack and you upload it into a robot body, won't that effectively make you an android? The answer to that is yeah, and that is a so let's go to number two. So there's a television show called Westworld, and very short summary is Westworld debuted on HBO here in the states. In the 2050s, the Delos Incorporated operates several theme parks, including the American Old West theme park, Westworld. Each environment is populated by hosts, biomechanical robots indistinguishable from humans. The hosts are programmed to fulfill the guest's every desire and will engage in and be subjected to every kind of violent and or sexual activity. However, the host programming makes it impossible for them to harm any living thing or allow the guests to be harmed. Wah wah. Anyway, the park's operators create narratives for these hosts to carry out while interacting with the guests, but the host memories are wiped after each narrative is completed. Delos Incorporated asserts that the hosts, being machines and hence incapable of experiencing pain, cannot be truly harmed by these scenarios the same way that a human would be. Wah wah. And that quickly turns pretty horrible. And we find out that in Westworld, at least as regards to the second season, that the hosts are emulations of human behavior, but many of them have started to awaken. And is there a plot to awaken some or all of them? And with the Delos Corporation being very rich and popular, to create these theme parks to um, allow the rich and famous to engage in their carnal activities, that, like you mentioned, oh, let me put it back up here, like you mentioned, maybe there's some rich people that would love to live forever. And so if they can make artificial emulations, maybe they can make emulations of very rich and powerful people. And you find out there's a plot, maybe, that the parks are a test ground to allow very rich people to have their minds downloaded, copied, downloaded into cortical stacks, and then be introduced into mechanized bodies. Now, Westworld starts to stroke its own ego. So the show quickly goes off the rails. It actually leaves Westworld. They call it Westworld, but it goes off the rails. And then you find out that since most of the show took place in these theme parks, that what does the rest of the world look like? And it's kind of a dystopian cyberpunk kind of thing. And pretty bad. Westworld is also the most hilarious song by the late great Tommy Stumpf. I did not know that. You are so correct. Drew says Dolores in Westworld went into the heroine's labyrinth. Yes, Dolores, who begins with as a not femme fatale. She's a an innocent, and she has to navigate the labyrinth of Westworld to not only find out about her memories and how she's been treated and such, but to escape Westworld, both physically and then psychologically, because they have these limitations on them. So it's pretty cool. Wow, 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 wow. And there is a Westworld very much. Um, our opinions of the characters in the show, the human characters in the show, are affected by because of the way they treat the hosts, and the hosts are the mechanical people who are can be mistreated very often based on the narratives that they play through, and it's kind of psychologically to us as the viewer. There's lots of boobies, lots of nakedness, especially in that first season, and we get to see them in these conditions because it's awkward watching them naked, having their faces removed, being asked intimate questions, being manhandled in some, um, shall we say, some pretty nasty situations, both physically, violently, and sexually, because they don't have any control over it. They are not allowed to harm the humans, and their minds get wiped. So there are some narratives where some of those hosts are treated very, very horribly, only to be mind wiped to go through the same situation again and again. And we realize that much like how it's very difficult to truly wipe out a hard drive and take all the data and information off of a hard drive completely, there's also the fact that some of these hosts are having what we humans would call flashbacks, or feeling like body trauma, and they are not truly being wiped completely, and that these narratives that are filling over and over again in them, they can't escape their world, and it's pretty interesting. So um having artificial life become awakened, maybe having memories of how we human beings have treated them, and are they really property or less than human, or is it correct to put limitations on them? It starts to ask a lot of those questions. So Westworld does that, and uh, the last two shows, very quickly, are I'm using as examples. One is also is called Almost Human, and it was a one season show that aired here in the states, with Carl Urban and Michael Ealy. Um, Carl Urban, it takes place in 2048, of course, near future, and he is a police officer. He awakens from a 17-month coma. His name is Kenix, and he has to deal with a cybernetic prosthetic leg and huge gaps in his memory, which he tries to recover. And I like this little world building thing, which he tries to recover through visits to a black market memory recovery doctor called a recollectionist in the city slums. Besides trying to remember as much as he can about the raid and the in syndicate, he is also coming to terms with being abandoned by his ex-girlfriend Anna. And so yeah, I guess the in syndicate caused some damage to him, and so now he's awakened after 17-month coma, which is pretty long, and he's teamed up with he event first he's teamed up with something called a MX-43, which is a very logical robot, but then they dust off the cobwebs from an older unit called a DRN. So he's assigned a replacement android, an older DRN model, originally decommissioned for police work and about to be transferred to the space station. A very vague allusion to going off into space, similar to RoboCop. I mean, not RoboCop. Darn, um, Blade Runner. And created to be as close to human as possible, the DRN androids have trouble dealing with some of their own emotional responses, which was the reason they were replaced by the logic-based MX units. Kennick's unit, known as Dorian, or where DRN, Dorian, played by Michael Ealy, immediately proves himself unique with a clear dislike of being referred to as a synthetic and a dry, friendly, sarcasm-oriented wit. Key to the story arc is the growth and development of Kennick's and Dorian's relationship, and it's a buddy cop show, a little more serious, a little dystopian. There's it got awards for special effects and visual effects, so that's really good. I think there were only 13 episodes commissioned, and of course this was a Fox show, so they aired it out of order. But a lot of the episodes were self-contained, and I mean, it's always good to see. It's always good to see Carl Urban and Michael Ealy teaming up together as cops, and of course, there as police officers, they always confront things where the android Dorian gets to show the more human side, and then the police officer gets to show his like more inhuman side and things like that. Drew says, Almost Human never got renewed after the first season. Nope. No, and Fox had a habit of airing these episodes out of order. Let's see, what does it specifically say? Um, The order of the episodes that aired on Fox differs from the production order of the episodes intended by the creator J.H. Wyman, the series showrunner. However, it says, due to the largely self contained nature of these episodes, this does not create significant discontinuity in the events of the series, though the increased closeness and trust between Detective Kennex and Dorian over the arc of the course of the series is uneven in the televised sequence of episodes. And Fox, when they aired those shows here in the States, tended to order shows, and then the corporate heads would alter the airing of those episodes based on what they felt like the public would or would not understand how the show would be received. So that had a lot to do with what. But yeah, only one season of 13 episodes, and I don't know where you can find it right now. Does it tell me where? No, no. Let's see if can I go to the official. Does the official website still exist? What? What? It still exists? They didn't shut it down? Oh, they did take. Okay, they did take most of. They took all the visuals down. They did do that. Okay. All right. Whatever. Um, but also, Almost Human is a really. I mean, let's be honest. Almost Human, much like Star Trek: The Next Generation with Data and that character, and the confluence of the human and the android, and encountering different crime and being able to see these things, and the android being an innocent or out the eyes of the android is us looking at the dark nature of crime, and the android can then learn or question the nature of crime and humanity, and we get a chance to see that a mirror uh, faced on us, which brings me to the fourth show, Humans. And that it was a I'm sure it was a BBC show, UK show, yes. uh, the series focuses the show was called Humans with the A upside down for the logo. And the series focuses on the social, cultural, and psychological impact of the invention of anthropomorphic robots called synths. It explores a number of science fiction themes, including artificial intelligence, consciousness, human robot interaction, superintelligence, mind uploading, and the laws of robotics. And in the television show Humans, and how many episodes? It was 8 episodes, and it was known as a series. Here in the States, um, we don't call them a series. Um, but anyway, there were 8 episodes in each series. There were 3 series, so that's 24 episodes, and there were. It was like an anthology show of sorts. So the humans, I mean, not the humans, the synths were humans or humanoids that were you could purchase off the shelf and bring it to the home. And so the show went to like a family that owned a I keep calling them humans because I'm looking at the logo. There were a family that purchased a synth, and then there were some synths that were walking around, and so you got a chance to see like some with a family, some working in industry, some working in professional locations, others that were roaming free, and we got a chance to kind of follow some of the characters and how society dealt with it. For example, I remember in the first season or first series of in the show Humans, there were there was an underground of people who would attack and abuse these synths and beat them up because they looked too human and acted too human. And there were like these well, it wasn't really a fight club. It was more like humans gathering together to like curb stomp the synths. And it was kind of half fight club, brutalistic gang fare, and also a little political cultural thing about being replaced. Many of these people were thrown out of the job market because the synths could do the job better with very little or no pay and no rest, as well as the fact that it was creepy. It was it was people were suffering from um, uncanny valley, And but there was another creepiness part with the family that had one of these synths, where so the synths had sorry the synths had a programming that prevented them from engaging in deviant behavior. And the dad, so it was a mom, dad, and two children. It was an older sister, younger brother, and each of them had a different interaction with the one synth that was in the household. So the dad tried to find he got these black market codes to get her uh the lady that was the synth to break her moral codes. And so he wanted to get freaky with the synth, and then realized that the synth was recording everything, and the information was getting broadcast to the cloud, and was like, "Oh shoot!" And the funny thing was, unbeknownst to the dad, the young son, the brother, also wanted to explore his sexuality with the robot. So they both were like, "Uh-oh, I don't want to be found out," but the other the two guys didn't know. And then of course the daughter felt like I think at one point hated the fact that like the synth was becoming trying to replace her mom, and hated the fact. And then the mom was like, "Oh, I love the fact that she's helping out," and then felt kind of like self-conscious because the synth was kind of being a better mother than she was and stuff. It was pretty interesting, at least at that part. And then one of the synths becomes awakened, and tries to awaken other synths and release them from their hold. And the programming itself felt very, it made you feel creepy because there was this enslavement kind of thing that dealt with it. It was just pretty bad. And so that was a good show. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Drew says the US calls a series a season. Yeah, yes, you are so correct. It happens. Those of us that do live shows often have brain farts. I just happen to fart psychologically more than than a little bit sometimes. Yeah, series versus season, and our not so much today, but our seasons can go very long. So we can have a season with upwards of 24 episodes. The television show 24 was notable for having each episode was an hour long, so it had a and each season was a 24-hour period. It happened in one day. So you had 24 episodes. Although the very first episode and very last episodes were 2-hour episodes. So that you had like 26 or something like that. Or 22. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Shitlord said deviant behavior equals what politicians want to use androids for. Oh, hells yes. Hells yeah. And so using all of this, the reason why I brought up these four, but these are just four examples of 10, maybe 50 times of these examples, is using a game system or your setting where is there any is there any differentiation between humans and androids, and if so, what? Um, how do you differentiate characters who do these androids feel pain? Can their minds be hacked? And unlike humans, can their minds be hacked, or can they be activated, deactivated? And how easy is it for a player character that's an android to be activated or deactivated? I think a great um, cost effect analysis would be for every benefit you get as an android, you also have a downfall. So the idea that all your memories are being cloud uploaded, it sounds pretty nasty, but I like it. Also, characters could pick maybe they can pick and choose the types of behavioral modifications, so that it would be an interesting role playing event to have to role play past the limitations. Like, you can't harm a human, and you're like, oh man, I can't engage in combat. How do I get around that rule? Right? Do I become a pacifist, or do I just have to take the damage, or can I save my own life and things like that? So yeah. Also, players may I think it would be interesting for players to come from different socioeconomic backgrounds and political opinions, and then have the characters brought together and then have their opinions change, much like the television show Almost Human. We have our police officer that absolutely doesn't like these synthetics, and even our DRN Dorian sidekick is like, don't call me a synthetic, please don't do that, you know, and starts to try to get an identity of themselves. And it could be interesting to play a character who initially doesn't like synthetics and then realizes that maybe they, like playing a ranger in fantasy. Oh, I've been trained and I've been focusing on and destroying these androids, and now one of them is my best friend. Ooh, maybe they don't want to know. Maybe you don't want to know the kind of damage I've done to androids that have been running around. And also, are androids in your setting as varied as human beings have variations? Like, for example, do the majority of androids, are they just nonplussed by anything, or are some trying to go towards political activation? Are others like insurrectionists and rebellions committing terrorist acts to shut down factories and free the androids from humans? Are there others that are portraying themselves as like downloading the worst killings from serial killers and they're reenacting these behaviors? Are others pacifists hoping to be recognized and as part of humanity and trying to get laws changed with people protesting, as the androids walk into governmental buildings to appeal to the better nature of humanity, while at the same time there's protesters throwing rotten vegetables and bricks and things like that, which I don't know why people would take that to protests, and bottles and things like that. You know how that's always portrayed, and and I think that is even a background element. Protesters, um, uh, poster boards and commercials and things for or against or indifferent or maybe even sycophantic, like fans of androids. Maybe, androids in the entertainment industry, political industry, corporate industry, uh, of course law enforcement and medicine and things of that nature. Androids being bonded with families and friends or factions, you know um, androids being stolen and having their skin taken off and placed on, um, having someone infiltrate corporations by reprogramming or putting viruses inside of androids and things like that. I think it would be very interesting to have a setting like that, especially even a player character who may or may not know that they have someone put a backdoor system into their programming, or when the player character shuts down to be powered up, much like a character taking a rest, maybe an NPC or a drawback the character has, maybe that android awakens and the player doesn't know that they're performing actions for a uh, evil faction, a politician, a criminal organization, a 13-year-old that wants to have some fun as part of an anonymous hacker group or something like that. Foreign actors doing a proxy war or something. All those kind of things could all be put together, combined together, as storylines in a society with androids in them. And also, how do we act and or react, much like in the movie Ex Machina, we got, and Westworld, we got to see some of these androids without their skin on. And does that change our opinion of them if they have a different skin over their bodies? I mean, if you're going to use them for sexual deviancy, and when I say deviancy, I don't mean like violence or anything. I mean, humans falling for robots in general. Would we consider that to be a deviant behavior, or is that just a sexual toy? And what does the android think of being used in that manner? But if you can just change the skin, does that change people's opinions of the androids? And would that change your opinion if they did or didn't have a skin? Um, Changing their voice, changing their mannerisms, right? You can program in gender genderfied behaviors or delete them as needed. And as a player character, or maybe as an NPC, maybe that's very interesting. Maybe a player character isn't interested in the physical body of an android, but wants the programming because they fell in love with the or have a intense relationship. It doesn't even have to be in love. Maybe it was an android that was partnered with a military group, and the players are like, no, that person was part of our military. Like, I don't care that they're artificial. They were part of our group, and they deserve to have a life like we did. So we're going to break in and steal the programming and try to get them a body and download them into a body, or plug plug the hard drive into the chest or back or skull of the new body that they get for their ally, so that they can lead a life of their own choice. Um, we can go even further with who gets to decide how, when, and how more androids are made. Is it a very complicated process through political and social mechanisms, or do, is there just a big corporation dumping them off of like an assembly line? Like, here's number 658.657 or something like that, and just dumping them into like into bins as they just get you know, nothing so complicated as being hung from hooks from the shoulders in a dry cleaning place and just pressing a button and having them like spool through, or what have you. Or maybe there are trash depots where there are homeless people living on the streets, like a cyberpunk world, that they're gathering body parts together and activating androids, because that's what you do in cyberpunk. Yeah, I don't know. How many body parts can you replace from organics to mechanical till you yourself become an android? And as was mentioned by the member of the Shy Squad, there's also the idea of, if you can download your memories into one of the you're a human, your memories are downloaded into a cortical stack. That stack is inserted into an android. Are you still you? And how would you feel if you were treated like property? Drew says Maeve, especially in my opinion, the best character in the show, and I really enjoyed her arc even after the second season, and the main attention went beyond the park. Tandy Newton, I believe her name is pronounced Tandy, even though it looks like it's Fandy. She's pretty interesting, and she reminds me of Eva Green, as an actress, who's very, very bold. I mean, it takes a lot of, I feel like it takes a lot of bravery to portray a character in your full nakedness and embrace that part. Very, very strong character. I do agree with you there, Drew. Yeah, very strong characters. As a matter of fact, I think there's a lot of strong characters in the show. I felt like there were too many tangents in the television show as it went. I forced myself to get through the second season, and I could not tune myself into the third and fourth seasons, which this conversation is making me want to revisit them. Actually, the, before that, I was like, I need to revisit and finish out this show. I was listening to podcasts and things like that about the show, and I was like, maybe we should go back. I wonder if there would also be categories of androids, meaning like just like in Ex Machina, where Nathan, our evil Elon Musk, or maybe just simple Elon Musk, a side character, says that, oh, when Ava, once you do the test on Ava, I'm just going to wipe her memory and just make up something new, and make new and improvements. Uh, Kyoko is a different, I guess you could say, suboptimal AI android. And so maybe, just maybe, some of the androids may approve of or disapprove of different categories of androids in your setting. So there could be like, let's come up with names. Like, they could have like class 2, class 3, class 4, or series 1, series 2, series 3, series 4 androids. And some of the androids may be very, very mechanical, right? They look like, they just look like big blocky robots that you can just bolt on big weapons and armor or something like that. And those might be series 1 or 2, whereas the ones that are far more human or humanoid, and can pass as human, become further series types. And human beings and humanity may look at them differently. Like, oh, we don't mind security robots that look like big blocky bots with police and security lights on their shoulders or something. But the ones that look human, yeah, we don't want. We need to have some hard controls over them. And they may even look at some of the androids may even look at each other like, oh no, I'm superior than you are, or maybe they want to uplift some from some categories to other categories. Like maybe there is a way for maybe there's a way for um, rogue programming or hackers or rebel organization or something like that to plug in or uplift some of the androids to others. Maybe there's no way to do it, but the very advanced androids are like humans made us slaves. Y'all you know, like we feel pain. You don't realize it, but you gave us the ability to feel pain, and I don't want that taken away from myself and our brethren, right? That may be another thing. Also, talking about um, sexual deviancy, who gets to control the reproduction for androids? Do they get, maybe they want to have the ability to air quotes have children, and how does that work? Is that, do they can they use programming to very quickly raise a child in virtual reality in like 8 minutes or 2 months or something, and then they plug them into a fully grown android? Or do they plug them into children that get brought into the headquarters to, oh, it's a 6-year old body. Here, I guess it's time to upgrade them to a 10-year old body, which also, now that I think about it, sounds pretty harsh because both the uh, prawn industry and war would benefit from androids, and you wouldn't want to mix either side with children or innocent looking animals or something like that. Um, Players may, what would be very interesting as well, much like the idea of Eclipse Phase and Altered Carbon, and of course, our own Obsidian Star, players may just be hard drives. And the players may be infiltrating society or a corporate, whatever, from small group to very large or the entire world. Maybe players are nothing more than hard drives, and they are helping each other navigate by plugging themselves into different types of androids based on the missions that they're going on. um, Shitler was like, the children of the androids are all that remain of humanity in about 100 years. Yep. we, hey, pretty interesting if humans are herded like cattle by a large and powerful enough android civilization. And you could really play with that. Like maybe there's a utopian society where the humans are like, no, the androids keep us in here and we love it, right? Like they protect us because they've been programmed to keep us safe and no harm comes to humans, and we like it. And yeah, do some of us disappear randomly? Sure. And are some of us strung up and hung from rafters? Yeah, but it's a small price to pay, right? I mean, no, but in all seriousness, maybe there are some conclaves that are where humanity is treated like a utopia, but they can never escape. Maybe there are others that are being abused, like the androids are taking out their anger on the humans and they hate it. Maybe they are literally hunting human beings and trying to forcibly extract something from humans. Maybe there's a way to, I don't know how you would do it, extract emotions and memories or something that they crave. Um, I there's a role playing game known as Red Markets RPG, and um, is there any visual? And Red Markets is about a zombie apocalypse has taken over the United States, and much of the central part of the United States is unrestricted, and it's run over by zombies. And the game, I could imagine a world, a setting, um, in which maybe androids have gone so far out of control that the the androids, there's no one specific pillar of where androids come from, who controls them. I think a really great setting would be to have different kinds of factions, and the factions would be related to both humans and androids and what they want. So you could let's I'm gonna pick with the United States. So like the Rust Belt could be a place where there were so many factories that were bombed out. Maybe they're producing these androids out of control. Maybe there's maybe it's very dystopian in certain in the Rust Belt, whereas maybe the East Coast is more egalitarian. The androids and humans are having relationships with each other. They're marrying. They are taking care of each other. They are embraced within society. Um, uh, what have you? Maybe some of the androids are actually presiding over the deaths of some of their humans, and the humans have signed their wills over to the androids. And people were just like, "Wait, what? Wait, what? That android can't be a billionaire now and live forever." And the android's like, "Oh, yes, I can. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to use my billions to." Air quotes resurrect one of my family members and put them in an android body, and let's see what happens then. And now they're a powerful corporate, something like I think that'd be a very great, I mean, and take away the space travel, take away a lot of other things. I think I'm going to insert something like this in Obsidian Star, someplace maybe where the concepts of androids and humans is like a massive churn. It's a soup of interrelated communities that are at odds with each other and bonding together and moving like a lava lamp. Matter of fact, I'll put a lava lamp behind me, just to get across that point. But yeah, maybe there's like a more of like a lava lamp kind of thing where the groups are bonding and separating and moving off and things like that. I think it would be great. Also, uh, the fear, if you want to make this a little bit more for horror, instead of like action, that we may not know which androids have infiltrated society to do harm to us. And so the players may be tasked with not going after androids specifically, but the ones that are broken. Maybe there's a title for them, like these are the dark ones, the recallers. Hey, these androids need to be recalled because they've been hacked, or the corporation that made them went defunct, or the CEO went crazy and decided, or suddenly gained a heart and was like, I feel for the android, so I programmed them to be independent and to take out humanity or something like that. Like it could be some reasoning like that. And so the androids could very much be trying to overrun humanity, and the players are going after the evil ones while trying to save the good ones. And what does that even mean? I don't know. What would that even mean? The good ones and the evil ones? I don't know. Um, that's very that's where you get into a lot of conflict with ethics and morality. I think that'd be very awesome. Uh, Androids could have their own ethics and morality system that either runs parallel to humans or runs in counter to humans. For example, if we take a look at Ex Machina in the movie, spoiler alert for the end of the movie. I said spoiler alert earlier. In the end of the movie, Nathan is murder killed, thankfully, and we feel for Ava and Caleb. So Ava is the AI robot, the android, and Caleb is the human who wants to save her. And Caleb has fallen for her. She's very sweet. She looks beautiful. Caleb even knows that her face and body and probably voice has been attenuated because of Caleb's search history for his sexual gratification on the interwebs, and that she very much looks and sounds and appears and behaves like someone he would have a very great attraction to. And so, is Ava good or bad? Well, we find out that Ava locks Caleb away and locks him in the very chambers that she was locked inside of, and she leaves the compound, and we see at the end of the movie, the very end of the movie, Ava has arrived. Don't question the end and how she gets on a helicopter and no one questions who she is. Don't question that part. We know that she arrives in a very major metropolitan intersection, and she stands there, just taking in the sun and the sounds and humanity. And we don't know what her intentions are. Does she just want to live by herself? Does she want to copy herself? She's a being of one, who probably has great capabilities and knows all of human history. And if doesn't, she can very easily learn it. What is her purpose? Is she evil? Is she good? Is she a paperclip maximizer? We don't know, but she very easily, with a smile on her or bemused grin on her face, basically sentences Caleb to death and doesn't think much about it, even though Caleb, sacrificed his life and time because of his desire for her. And did she think that he's like a weak human being? We don't know, but it is dangerous because Caleb thought he knew her, and there's no way for the movie is telling us there's no way for a human to really know an artificial being because their body, their face is just artificial. It's just an emulation of micro reactions that we may or may not be able to read. And even if we could read them, they could all be fake. um, so what is that about? So there is some danger, and humanity. Listen, I think another danger that we are not telling ourselves about AI and androids is that if androids learned everything about humanity, all of our history, our past, our social media, the way we interact with each other, all the stuff on the cloud, all of our internet histories and searches and things, the way we talk and converse with each other. If they learned all that, we are assholes. We are bastards. We are the worst ever. Yeah, Drew says, can we ever know anyone's synthetic or not? Right. I mean, you are absolutely correct. Can we really know anyone? Now, my argument would be that human to human, we at least have some capability of reading one human to another. Not everyone. We human beings are very good at lying both to ourselves and others. And the best lies are the ones we tell ourselves because we are so convincing to the other people around us that there's no way they could figure out what our intentions are. But an AI, so yeah, yeah. So can we ever read anyone? Yeah, so no, so don't get married. That's not the answer. That isn't the answer. The answer is to draw others down into your spiral of dark deceptions. No, that's not it. I think androids are a reflection of us, and something we don't want to let each other know is that all of us individually, we are not angels, and were someone to base their behavior and their learning on all of our knowledge and our behaviors, we would fear the other person, the other robot, the android that just looks at us with a blank stare and it's like, yeah, I know all of your history. I know everything you've done, all the things you've said, all of the all of the angry emojis and the articles that you shared out. I know all of that stuff. And I'm looking at you and I'm an android and you are just a motherfucker, right? Like, and then you take that and expand that out to the rest of humanity and you're just like, we're screwed. Like if an AI learned from us, horrible. Now we all hope that an artificial intelligent android that looks and acts and appears like us would learn from and behave in the best manner of humanity. But we all know that it is the rarity of goodness and kindness and civility we would feel is more rare than deviance and lies and cheating. And we don't know the gradient at which an artificial being would grade us on. So an example would be, there are lots of petty things that human beings do all the time that we don't even consider to be good or evil, meaning like we have a lot of rules: speeding, parking, um, you know, on road behaviors, things that we say and do behind other people's backs for our employment and our families, um, um, our interests in media, like how many shows or television shows have come out with the main characters being absolute bastards, right? Um, Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, House of the Dragon, Game of Thrones, so many, and there's so many other television shows that many of those the main characters of the show perform horrible actions. Um, there are people who are addicted to the crime series, podcasts, and television shows. And would an AI know what's the difference between entertainment and reality? Even if it knows the difference between the two, would it judge us on what we're interested in? Like, oh, you're interested in serial killers. Why the hell are humans? Why would you be interested in that instead of, oh, I don't know, the podcast that talk about cleaning up our oceans and planting trees and petting bunnies? I don't know. I mean, you know what I mean? It would be pretty amazing and scary to have an AI system like you. You do realize that when you fall asleep, you're leaving things on in and around your house that are very dangerous. And you're like, yeah, we're all used to it. Like there's electrical socket you could shock yourself with. Why aren't you protecting electrical socket? Like, well, we humans don't put our finger in electric sockets because we learned not to. And the android's like, but that's too dangerous. And so is gas heating and propane and you know what I mean? Like like they might make assumptions about things like you for example, us here in the Midwest, we have a lot of stick built homes. So stick built meaning it's wood framing on homes in a region where there are tornadoes. So an android might go, why would you build a home out of wood in Tornado Alley and then build other homes out of like brick and mortar in places that don't suffer that kind of harm? Like, why would you do that? You guys are fragile. I'm not going to let you live in this wooden home. I'm going to move you across the country, and you know what I mean. I'm going to put you in an empty missile silo. That's the safest place for you to be. And you're like, okay, stop it, relax. You're like, no, I'm not giving you a choice on that. I'm supposed to take care of you. Get down in the silo. I'll dump down some food for you to eat. Yeah, I know the food is a moldy, but your human digestive system is okay. It'll take care of that. So eat the moldy sandwich. I don't care. I don't know. But anyway, I thought I would bring up some Android television and movies and talk about that and just have us think about like um, if the skins can be removed very easily, will that have an effect on our opinions of the androids? And if so, is it will the androids have their own personalities that we might walk around with their own hard drives and then use those hard drives, that personality of this specific android that is my best friend, and I put him in my back pocket, him or her or it, and then later on have them reconstituted into, or re-uploaded or take the zipper and zip their zipper into another jacket, and that person becomes the best friend or something. uh yeah, there's hey, I know this is dark, but maybe someone has such a intimate relation with a non-gendered android that they zip them or re-instance them, download them into a body that the person would be attracted to, and then the android is like, why did you put me in this body? And their friend is like, well, i I really would like you to be in this body because I'd like to have a relationship with you. And the android's like, you could have asked me first. Like, I don't mind the body I'm in. I mind the fact that you picked this one with this voice and these behavioral traits, and I didn't get a choice in the matter. Like, you just basically turned me into a purpose-built partner. Or the opposite could be, maybe you can order one of these androids off a shelf, and you answer a couple of questions. They spray biological materials over top of the android, so that person becomes a perfect partner. And then when you go, I don't really like my perfect partner, your perfect partner might go, oh no, the warranty says we're bonded forever and forever and ever and ever. And the android won't let you go. Um, Also, maybe there are some, uh, as the androids maybe start gaining some sympathy from the rest of society, humans protecting the androids from being destroyed or things like that. Yeah, I saw the ad for Beacon 23, but I haven't seen the show. Lena Headey, Hetty, I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Like Beacon 23, the main character has an AI assistant helping her, and maybe that AI assistant becomes, listen, we are already in a society where we're surrounded by lots of people, but none of us have a connection with each other. And many of our connections are through digital social means and media rather than the physical people around us. And those, how do I it's possible that we may not care that someone is a physical being or a digital representation of that person or being. Like, just because we could have very intimate relationships, and when I say intimate, I'm talking social and psychological, nothing physical, with people from around the world, and one or more of those individuals could be artificial. Or there might be, I can imagine a social media platform being filled with artificial personalities in the built into the social media, where people can like rent or buy or merge with or have relationships with friends and loved ones, but they don't exist physically. They may come up with AI photographs of them and video and new voice matrices and everything, but they just exist, not even virtual reality. They just exist on a platform. And we might just go, no, that person is my partner. Like they're I yeah, we may not care about that. Shice is like, you're right. We're all talking to bots. You're the only one who's not a bot. You don't know that. Well, and before you guys say it, maybe we're not so far away from bots. We just happen to be biological, but that doesn't mean anything. We are imperfect robots unto ourselves, right? I mean, we have electrical stimulation, we have imperfect memory, we learn from our environment, we are influenced by both our biological programming and our environment, and AI is probably the exact same thing. We already know that we've seen examples of tests of AI that turn into horrible DPJ equals NPC. Could you imagine? I just do a whole show as an NPC. Hi, how are you? Blink, blink, blink. Hi, how are you? Blink, blink. Yes, I roll dice and play role playing games. Thank you. Blink, blink. It's the NPC channel. Although I could see that becoming a business unto itself. Hey, bu buy 2, get 1 free NPCs. And someone's like, "Cool, let me download this in my hard drive. I've got some extra androids in my closet. I'm just gonna download my NPCs and just have my own entourage and whatnot." That'd be pretty funny. I mean, a criminal organization could be filled with, like, 70% NPC robots and androids, because and, of course, they're loyal because they're androids. They don't have a choice in the matter. Um Government agencies filled with them as well. Yeah, 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 yeah. I could imagine some androids are like, oh, I know I have to be programmed with specific behavior. I just want to leave this old programming and pick up new programming because I want to be with that group because they treat me better. right? Like they're like, oh no, I know I'm artificial slave labor. It's just that I'm treated much better with one organization better than the other one, and I just want to be saved. That would be hey, players could be bounty hunters or rescuers, just collecting hard drives and reinstancing them so that the androids have freedom on the other side of a proverbial wall or region or nation or something like that. That'd be these are some. I think these would be kind of fun ideas. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for sticking with me till this Friday. I really appreciate it. We'll come up with other ideas and talk about other big brain things as well as we go into the future, talking about science fiction and futurism and transhumanism and posthumanism here on the RPG with DBJ channel. I am your host, DBJ. All of you, thank you so much for being part of the show. If you've gotten this far, please like, share, subscribe. So it's a great show, totally worth it not to leave work early. Yeah. Well, I don't know. Maybe you might want to. Uh, Hell, maybe you have an enemy that you want to tell somebody about this show for, whatever. Whatever the case may be. Thank you very much for doing the thing. I really appreciate it. Let's slay. Let's not let the algorithm become sentient without us doing our due diligence to shape the algorithm to the way we want it. I don't know if that's possible, but whatever. Guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. We are out. Peace and tranquility.